I'm also thinking that Amanda's kind of got it really wrong right now as well, because this was not a change election. This was absolutely not a change election. This was an election in which they desired to send a message, as Van Jones on CNN said last night, that looks a lot like a white lash. This looks a lot like misogynist men who don't want to claim that they're misogynist voting against a woman. This looks a lot like white rural America being tired, being frustrated, and I absolutely will not.
Also be changed,
and wanting
though?
change.
Can that not also be changed?
It's not change. It's not change in that way when you take a look at just how close this vote was and that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. That is not a change election. That is a status quo election. Half of America wants to go forward, and the other half of America wants to go backward. They are absolute misogynistic xenophobes, and I absolutely will not let off American voters off the hook for being anti-woman and anti-black. That is absolutely not something I'm willing to do today. This was a direct response to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, and the United States of America should be ashamed of themselves. Voters in the United States of America have done a disservice to the world by putting Donald Trump in power. This is not a change election, and we shouldn't be magnanimous about these.
Okay, I'll let Amanda respond quickly, then I want to hear from Althea.
I just can't call me an optimist. And listen, I think the results are as deplorable as you do, and I think that, you know, the very idea of him leading that country with his sick, distorted vision is as disturbing to me as anyone else. But I refuse to believe that tens of millions of Americans share the exact same views as Donald Trump.
That's probably because you're white.
That's the case.
That's probably because you're white.
Come on.
It is.
Ian,
no, not come on.
I'm a woman.
No. Okay.
I'm a woman.
Okay.
So if anything, I feel this was our moment in many ways. You know, when she took this stage today to talk about, you know, and it brought tears to my eyes. I'm sure it brought tears to a lot of women and men's eyes to hear her say those words about women, about our chance to get there, about our daughters, frankly, about my son, the message that we're going to send to him. Don't talk to me about, you know, being on the outside a little, about being the marginalized, about not breaking through that glass ceiling. I was there with her right until the end. But I refuse to be so cynical as to believe that tens of millions of Americans share those distorted views.
It's not cynical, it's fact.
Okay, let's talk about whether we think Trump will actually and can deliver on some of the things that he has promised, or whether any of that stuff is going to get dialed back because now you have to govern. Ian, why don't you go first?
I think he will attempt to fulfill the vast majority of his most outlandish promises, if only to be dialed back by officials, dialed back by Congress. But most certainly, he's going to try and build a wall. He's going to try and ban Muslims, and he's most certainly not going to appoint anybody to the Supreme Court of the United States that anybody on the Democratic team would like. So let's be very clear. Sure. Donald Trump has articulated one of the most regressive American policies that we've seen since prior to George Bush running. I mean, this is a whole new ballgame. We are in literal Silvio Berlusconi territory here. There's pretty much only one other worldwide example of a megalomaniac billionaire taking over an entire G7 nation, and that happens to be it, is Silvio Berlusconi. So I think what we're actually after here is weeks after weeks, after months of special investigations, lawsuits, you name it. This is not a president who's going to be spending the vast majority of his time governing, but rather pontificating and speaking to the American people. But he's going to try, and that's the dangerous part.
Okay, Ian, last word to you.
This guy's going to say whatever he wants to get reelected and to get his friends and his family's pockets lined as much as he possibly can. We are in literal Silvia Berlusconi territory, right down to, I will predict right now, a shocking sex scandal within the next several years, if we haven't already heard the beginnings of it. So Donald Trump is going to be at least interesting for those of us who are pundits, but I think that a lot of us looking back on today's commentary on this panel might think of themselves, quite frankly, as apologists in a couple of years when they realize just how bad Donald Trump is going to be for the world.
Okay.
But I'd pass segment. I mean, Ian, I think, was calling me an apologist, and he's taken some shots at Amanda here today. I appreciate Ian is angry, like many people are angry about what had happened. But calling people out and behaving in a manner like the person we are criticizing, Donald Trump, is not very helpful. And I think also, Ian, as you've rightly pointed out, we all didn't do very well when it came to prognostication. So we need to check a little bit of our emotions and biases as we try and understand what happened now. But you can call me whatever you want. You're my friend. I appreciate you get heated, but I'm calling you out on that one.
Okay, Ian, you want to respond there?
Yeah, man, listen, we've done this show for 8 years together, so you know I can get emotional. If anybody saw me during the Afghanistan war, I've nearly cried on this air. I have poured my guts out, and here's what I'm feeling today as a gay man. I am feeling like the Vice President of the United States of America, elect, suggests that HIV treatment should be wound down. That's right, that HIV treatment should be wound down, and that gays and lesbians shouldn't have the right to marry. That's shocking to me. That's stunning to me. And those are simply statements he's made weeks ago. So, you know what? I think I speak on behalf of a good number of people who feel attacked today around the world. Sure. And I think that, quite frankly, when we start to see the language of mollification, that sounds a lot like apologistic behavior to me.
It's interpretation. I think you know me well enough to know that. Anyway, it's not about you and I tonight. Nor should it be.
No, but I would love you to make sure that everybody knows that you think Donald Trump is a racist misogynist.
I think I was pretty clear all the way along where I stood on Donald Trump.
I think everyone has said that. I mean, I think where I'm trying to get the conversation to go so that Canadians understand is, are there things to fear, the things that you have expressed here, Ian, and are there things that may not come to pass so that people don't have to be frightened? I think, and I don't think any of us know the answer to that. No. So part of this is speculation, and I don't think anyone's apologizing for the speculation. Everyone has a different interpretation. You think it's going to go down a darker road than some people. Other people are hoping that it changes a little bit. But that's where I'm trying to bring the conversation, just so everybody understands. 20 seconds, because Ian doesn't think they share a common vision, and then I got to wrap it up.
I just don't think they do. I don't think there's a single thing on the Donald Trump agenda that's in common with the Justin Trudeau agenda, and they now have a great enemy. So I think that as much as they want to say today that they're going to be incredibly close with this particular government, over the next several years, they're going to become an incredibly useful enemy to have. And Justin Trudeau is suddenly going to find himself as the world-leading progressive prime minister, president, or head of state in direct opposition and contrary to Donald Trump. And I am hoping he takes that role, because someone needs to.